is up, sports design family? Mike with Sports Templates with you again today to show you how to turn this awesome Photoshop Jumbotron template into this sweet design. Before we do that, make sure you go down below, hit the subscribe button. And before we get into actually making the design, I just want to show you everything you get with this template package, okay? So you actually get 3 Jumbotrons, not just the one you see here, but you also get this one. So this really, really big Jumbotron. Let me fix the view there. Then you get this one. And then you get back to the one that we're going to be working on today. So 3 different sizes, all fully customizable, lots of different features, screens, and areas that you can put designs on. And again, we're gonna be working on this design today, kind of a hockey design with some scores and things going on. So let's just dive right in and look at how we're going to customize this template. So we've got a library here. It'll be linked down below in the comments area so that you can get the colors and the different images that we use. We've got a picture from a hockey game, just got that as a free picture online. Some logos that you can use. Again, those are just things you can search for online if you don't get the library. But let's just get into it. So first of all, you notice in the sample image, we've got like kind of an arena stadium background. So there's actually 3 arena views built into this template. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So you can choose the one that kind of fits what you want to do the best. You can also turn off the arena views, and you have the standard color splash background that comes with the sports templates. So you can customize the text in the back and change the color and all those things. But we're going to stick with the arena view that I think matches this template and this design that we're going to work on the best. And so let's get into it. So really just some simple colors that we've got here, just a black and a blue for this one. Let's start setting our colors. So first thing I want to work on is the roof connection. So if we go to the roof connection folder, go to the editable parts, I'm just going to select both of these. I'm going to hold the shift key and click from one to the other, and that's going to select both. And I'm just going to click this black color. It's not full black, like the darkest black you can go, because that will tend to take away some of your highlights and shadows, but it's a nice kind of a dark gray, if you will, so that you can still see some of the highlights and shadows, whereas if you go full black, it'll lose some of the detail. Same thing with full white, by the way. So when you're doing these designs, try to avoid pure black and pure white. All right, so now let's look at the rest of the Jumbotron scoreboard. Let's get into the main editable parts folder and see what we've got going on in there. And I'm just going to drag this up a little bit so we have more room. So we've got shape layers where we can change the color on everything, right? Just about everything on this Jumbotron. And if we look at our reference image, really almost everything is blue or the black, right? So let's just kind of see where we end up with those. So this top ring here, let's go ahead and set that to black. The nuts on it, which if we zoom in, you can see the insane amount of detail on this thing. And I'm just holding Control or Command and then the plus key to zoom. You can see like the texture on the screen, and you can see there's these little nuts on here, right? Like or screws, whatever you want to call them. Look at all that texture. That's insane. So these are the nuts, and we're just going to change the color. We'll make those black too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. And let's go ahead and move on down. So the upper ring design, that's this, if we turn this off, you can see which one it is. That's that top ring up there, right? So we'll make the color underneath blue just in case, if we didn't want to use it, the design, we could just set the color to blue. But we're going to put a design on it. If we look at our reference image, it looks like we have some scores up there. I see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scores from games. And I don't remember, exactly what I did there, but we'll just try to make something similar to it. So we're going to go to the upper ring design, double click on that smart object folder, and let's just, we don't need a background color for that one since we already have it out in the main part of the template. Actually, you know what, let's turn this off and let's set our background color to match. That way we're kind of replicating what we have on the outside, and it's easier on the eyes to kind of work on this dark color. Okay, so we're gonna put a text across here, and I'm just going to use I like this. I think the font I used was this Active Grotesque. It's a free font on Adobe Fonts, so if you have Photoshop subscription, you can go to Adobe Fonts and get that font. And for white, I'm not going to use pure white. I'm just going to use this EA hex code that I like to use. And just drag my text box out, and let's just, that size looks pretty good, 46 point. And I'm going to just go to my my character window here, and if you don't have that available, if you go up to window and click on character, it'll bring it up. For some reason this one's got italics turned on, so I'm going to just turn that off. And then I'm going to start just typing some scores. Okay, LA 1, San Francisco 0. I think I'm putting in like some hockey scores, right? I'm just going to put some spaces between, and I think I had one that was like Oakland 5, and we'll say Las Vegas because the Raiders moved and that's sad. And then we'll do Denver 4, Seattle 3. I think maybe need one more space here, just trying to keep the spaces even. We'll say Toronto 7, big score. And we'll say New York 5, and then one more. We'll say Florida 2, and Detroit 1. Now obviously this text is a bit too big and it wrapped down to a second line, so I'm just gonna shrink it a little bit. That looks pretty good. I think I need to move it down a little bit, so I'm just gonna drag it down. I'm gonna hit Control or Command S, and then let's just go back and see. So it's a little high, right? It's a little high. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. Control Command S. Okay, and now it looks maybe a little low. So just one more little adjustment back up. I'm just going to nudge it up with the up arrow key on my keyboard. Okay, and now we have scores. And so, you know, this could be like scores that sort of circulate around so that everyone can see them, right? Think of it like a ticker on the bottom of ESPN or SportsCenter, right? So we've got some scores. All right, so now if we go back to our sample image, we've got this second large ring that's currently displaying Bud Light logos. So let's get in there and do that. This is the top part design, so we'll just open up that smart object by double clicking. Again, we can turn off our grid, set our background color, and then if you've downloaded the library, you'll have this, you can just drag it in, and I'm going to center this one. And let's go back to that reference image and see. So there's a small one in the middle, two big ones on the sides. Okay, so we'll just, if I hold the Alt key and click on this, you'll see the cursor kind of turns into two arrows, and I'm going to just drag it over to make a copy, and we'll just move it right about there, and then click on this one again, hold the Alt key, and again drag it over, and Photoshop will kind of tell me when I have them spaced out evenly, so that's pretty cool. Then I'm going to hold the Alt key again and click to make this one bigger. When I hold Alt, it basically gets bigger from the center only, right? Whereas if I don't hold Alt, it'll get bigger towards the top. But if I'm holding Alt, it gets bigger in all directions. So let's bring that up and align it to that one. Okay. And then Control Command S. And look at that. That's pretty darn close to what we had on the reference image. Almost identical. I think the outer ones were a little bit, you know, bigger and closer to the center, but that's okay. We'll just leave it like that. Looks fine. Okay, and then we need to set, let's look at our screens. So these are black borders, and then some images on the screen. So if we continue down, and top part color, I mean, really I like to set all the colors here to the same dark blue, just in case there's any areas where things show through, or you turn off one of the designs, you've got kind of the consistent colors in there. And then you'll see we have left screen, front screen, and right screen. Now you can make all those screens different if you want to, right? For this design, I've got them all set to the same image, just imagining that, you know, there's a replay happening, or in this case, calling it the shot of the game. So everyone in the arena on either side of the Jumbotron would be seeing the same thing. So let's go to the front screen design, and we'll just drop that image in. And then we need to just line it up, right? So hold the Alt key, drag it out, kind of line it up vertically. That looks pretty good. I'm going to hit Control or Command S to save that. And now we jump out here and we see, I'll turn off the sample design, we have our image set. Okay, but it's not set on the left and right screens because those are independent. You can change those if you want. Now, I'm going to leave this smart object open because I want to duplicate that design and I don't want to have to like realign it and everything. So I'm going to go to the left screen design, make sure I have my grid layer selected, because what I'm about to do is going to duplicate the other image and it's going to put it on top of whatever layer I have selected. So I'm going to go back to my front screen design, smart object tab. I'm going to click on the hockey scene. I'm going to right click, duplicate layer, and I'm going to choose my other screen design that I opened up. And now when I go back, there it is. It's already there, and I just need to hit Control or Command S to save, and then I'm going to close that. And now you can see it's been added over here. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on my right screen design, which is here. So I'm just going to, again, duplicate this layer over to that screen, or over to that tab, Control Command S to save, and now I can just close all these and I have all of my screen designs set. Okay, now let's do, and you can set the colors on these screens too, by the way, right? If you didn't have an image on the screen and you just wanted a color, you can set the color. So you can set it to black, blue. You can even do, you know, darker black if you wanted to. Double click it, choose whatever color you want. So you can go pure black on those if you want to, because they have a really nice texture on them, so it doesn't really matter how dark you go. In this case, I usually set the colors to the same. Okay, and now we have these side panels. So you see these side panel design layers, right? So you could put anything you want to on there. In this case, we have an advertisement for something like a law firm, right? So we'll just go in, we'll set our background color to our nearly black color, and then we're going to drag this shape in. Just kind of align it up here. And then we had a vertical text. So I'm going to right click on the text tool. I'm going to choose vertical type tool. I think I choose a different font for this one. Motor Normal is the one I used for this one, and that's another font. You can see here it's got the Adobe logo. That's one that's free on Adobe Fonts if you have a Photoshop subscription. Then I'm just going to match the color. I'm going to drag a text box here, make that a little bigger, and we had something like Eagle Law, and I'm going to just hit Control A to select all that. I'm going to size it down just a little bit, hit my check mark to lock it in, and you can move this around if you want to, but I like to convert these to vector shapes, so I'm going to hit right click, convert to shape, and now it's a little bit easier for me to sort of center this perfectly. I think I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. Sorry, I'm holding the Shift key to control things and it's made it bounce around a little. So Control Command S now that I have that placed. And okay, so I think I'm going to move that text maybe a little bit to the right. Just to, with the perspective on this thing, you may have to play with things to get it to line up and look the way you want it to. And that looks pretty good there. Maybe I'll rotate it just a little bit to the left. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We got an Eagle Law advertisement there. So I'm going to leave that open. I'm going to go to my right side panel because I want to make it match. Set my background color. And then I'm just going to take those two things, select them both by holding the Shift key. I'm going to right click, choose duplicate layers, and choose my other side panel. And the only thing I'm going to do differently here is I'm going to rotate this text in the other direction, just a couple degrees. Control Command S. Oh, I guess I need to move it left too. That would make sense, right? And it looks like for whatever reason my rotation didn't quite stick, so let's do that again. Control Command S. Okay, so maybe just a little bit more rotation. And a little nudge to the left again using my keyboard. Okay, that looks pretty good. Pretty well lined up. And you could always play with these as much as you want to, right? So let's zoom in so you can kind of see the texture on that. So we've got our design set. We've got kind of the light bulb texture going on the screen. Got some texture here. Almost looks like speakers, you know? So kind of like the mesh cover on a speaker. And that's probably on a Jumbotron, you know, you probably have speakers there on the corners and also up here, right? And so but we're treating these right here as if they're screens, right? Or maybe they're, you know, they could be speakers that have an advertisement on the cover. So there's, you know, anything you can think of is really possible with these. Let's set the screen frames, okay? So that's the color of these frames going around the screens. We're just going to set that to black as well. But, you know, just so you can see if you wanted to, you know, put some bright colors on it, you know, you can do any kind of color that you want to. Okay, so now we're getting down into our bottom rings here to sort of finish this thing off. So this is the design for inside this bottom ring, right? Because people could see that, so it's advertising space, right? So we'll turn off our grid, set our background color to the blue. And if you remember, I had some text in there, something like always drink responsibly, I think is what it was. Something you might see on an advertisement for, you know, a beer, something like that. So I'm going to drag out my text box, size this one up a little bit. Okay. And I'm not too worried about converting this one to a shape because I may want to play with it a little bit differently. Let me close these out. Okay, so that's a little small, and I probably want to move it up just a little bit. So actually, I'll show you. If I convert it to a shape, then I can do that stuff. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Convert to shape. So if I have it as a shape, if I click from here and drag up, it'll get bigger, and it's kind of moving up just a little bit. Control Command S. That looks pretty good. I may nudge it up just a tiny bit because I want things to be like almost perfectly centered if I can help it. So maybe just a little bit more. Okay, I like that. And then if we go to this one, this is the outer ring that's sort of facing you. So we're going to change that. And again, set our background color to blue. Add a text box. Drag this out. Photoshop doesn't like to save my text colors. Make this big. And I think we had something like shot of the game. Okay. And we'll just drag this down a little bit. Control Command S to save it. Oh wow, that's almost perfect. I might nudge it down just a couple little nudges. Control Command S to save. Okay, I'm happy with that. That'll work for this. And so now we've pretty much got it done. You can, if you wanted to turn those off, you know, you could just set solid colors on those bottom layers. We do need to get a design in the bottom here, right? That's like if you're looking up from directly below it, there's an opportunity to put a design there. So in here, there's a grid that has the circle. So you don't want to put anything into these corners because they wouldn't be visible. So let's set our background color to blue. Let's go here, drop our logo in. We'll just center that. And let's maybe go this way with it a little bit. Turn that grid off. And actually our background color is a little different. Just match that. So I double clicked the background color to change it, and I clicked on the actual logo here to match the blue perfectly. And there we have it. Now that logo is placed on the bottom. You can see it. Okay. And then if you didn't want a logo there, you just wanted to set the color, you could set it to black. That's pretty dark, right? Because there's a lot of shadows in there, so maybe we do a lighter color and you can still see a lot of the detail, right? So if we zoom in there, you can see that's probably would be like speakers too, maybe, right? Or we'll just keep our design on. And then the roof connection, I think we did that early on. Change those to black, but you could change the colors there too if you want to, right? So if you wanted to maybe have blue, I actually kind of like how that looks. We'll leave that like that for this. All right, and then we're set. We're all done, right? So the only other thing that you might want to do with this is something that's built into all of the sports templates mockups that you get is the dynamic lighting. And that's a really cool way to change the lighting on your mockup in case you have a different scene, right? Now this one, we got the arena background, there's some light coming from the back, right? That might, kind of change the lighting. But there is some lighting built into this that maybe you want to change. If you turn off the effects layer, you can see this thing just goes totally flat, right? It's just the colors, and it doesn't have the same depth and everything. So the dynamic lighting gives you even more control over that. You can see when I turn it off and on, some of the lighting is changing. And the way to manipulate that is just to go into the dynamic lighting smart object, and really you can just start playing with things, right? So if you click on the hue saturation layer, go to properties, really you can just drag things around and completely change the light. Okay, so maybe we want some light coming in from the right. We can change how extreme the lights are, how, everything in here, right? You can change this however you want to make it match your scene, and you can test it out, right? So we'll hit Control Command S to save. We'll go back, and now we can see we have this more extreme light coming in from the right, right? Turn it off, turn it on, and you can see how much it changes. And you can see a lot more detail on the underside by doing that. Right, so anything you would want to do to sort of match your scene, right? And maybe the background isn't going to be important to you. Maybe you're going to use a solid color background, or you're not going to use a background at all, and you're just going to export this as a transparent PNG and then put it into a different scene, right? So there's lots of different options there. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and please head over to sportstemplates.net, pick up this template and many others. Remember, you get 3 views with this template, so it's a nice package, a lot of different options for you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you next time.